And what I'm going to talk about today is seeing life in a brighter way, because I feel like right now there is a lot of stuff that's going on that feels really intense. And I feel like it's coming from a lot of different directions. It's not just, what's on the news. It's grocery prices are really high. House prices are insane and unattainable. And, people are losing their jobs, and it can kind of feel a little bit overwhelming. And when we just get bombarded with this all day, every day, constantly, no matter where you turn, it's, you open your phone, you open the app, and whatever app you're using, it's probably something negative somewhere in there, regardless of if you try really hard to avoid that, or maybe at work, or maybe some of your friends or something, and people are just a little bit down. So I want to dive into this a little bit and talk about how we can reframe some of that so it's not affecting us so badly. So human awareness, us, our brains, we were really never designed for constant global input. We were designed to be in these little tribes of maybe 100 people or less, and that was our entire world. Even up to just, let's think, when did the internet really take off? 2010, 2012 maybe? So that's just the last 15 years that we've just now been getting all of this information. As soon as something happens, it's right there. We've got it instantly. Something bad can happen on the other side of the planet. Like, for example, I'm in Australia. As soon as something happens in America, I know about it immediately. And that's just not how our brains or bodies were designed to work. We evolved to track local, immediate threats, not continuous global threats. And by exposing ourselves to this narrative, this crisis, overarching thing all the time, what we're doing is we are upping our stress hormones, we're upping our cortisol, we're going to start to have anxiety. It can start to cause some of us to have depression or physical issues like digestive issues. You can actually even develop pains in your body or autoimmune diseases from stress and from chronic stress. So that's something that we want to address, is how can we reduce the stress and reduce that? Because our brain interprets repeated exposure to things as personal relevance. Like it matters to us personally, even when there's nothing that we can do. Even if you have constantly see something and now you feel constantly responsible. You think, this is something that I have to do something about, but you can't because you're not in the position to do something. And that's going to create this sense of responsibility that's unattainable, and you just will never be able to reach that. And so then you're going to start to feel maybe a little bit helpless, maybe a little bit like you can't do anything, not just there, but you can't do anything in your life. And then you start to have these thoughts of, well, I can't do anything about that. Well, I can't even do anything about this, things that do relate personally to you. So we need to take ourselves out of this sustained stress state, because that's going to give us this sense of perceived helplessness, which is not true. You are not helpless. You have control over your personal life. But it can be hard for your brain to understand that when you're constantly exposed to things that make you feel helpless. So something I want to talk about here is limiting our exposure. If you are somebody who watches the news, if you are somebody who, whether that's on TV, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, have a good think about that. Have a good think about if you actually need to know what's going on 24/7 all the time. Sometimes it can feel like yes, I need to know what's going on because I want to stay informed. But the thing about the news is they're not doing things to inform you. They're doing things to make money for their shareholders. They're doing things that are going to get lots of views. And by putting you in this stress state, by making you feel like it's something you need to know, like you have to know, even though you can't do anything about it, you're going to feel like you need to watch. And by watching, that's how they get more money, and that's how they make more money for their shareholders. So really, really have a good think about that, about if you actually need to be watching and consuming that content, because it is going to affect you. And perceived powerlessness, it is a learned psychological state, something that we can get out of. We can teach ourselves, we can train ourselves to get out of this. It might take some time, especially after you've been exposed constantly to something, because repetitions, right? And you do something a million times, you're not even going to think about it anymore. So when we're constantly exposed to these problems that we can't do anything about, we start disengaging from them. We start this emotional numbing, resigning a little bit from life. And you may not even know that you're doing it. You may not realize that you're doing it in your daily life. But now, if you do those repetitions over and over of disassociating because you're seeing stuff that you just can't process in a healthy way, you can start to disassociate in your life. And that's going to affect your relationships with your friends. It can affect your relationships with your family. And we don't want that, right? So what we want to do instead is consume in a healthy way. Because I'm not telling you don't be on the internet. I'm just saying be aware of what content you're putting into your brain. Because consuming content constantly takes away from what you were supposed to do. Humans are supposed to be creators. We're supposed to create stuff. And this idea that the normal person can't create something, whether that's food, cooking is creating something, food, woodworking, painting, dancing, singing, whatever it is that you maybe did as a kid that you like to do, and now you're just not doing as an adult because you're not a creator, you're not an artist. That is not true. And I want you to completely forget that, because for the entire existence of humans, we've been creating stuff. People make things. That's what we're good at. We're good at making stuff. We're good at making stories, physical items, food. Creating, that's something that we need to be doing, not constantly consuming, because that is going to lead to a loss of who we are, and it helps us solve so many problems when we step back and from consumption and start creating. And the problems that you start to solve are, wow, I really like to do this. Oh, wow, I'm not just the identity of me that goes to work. I am actually somebody else. Because you're who you are. You're not this person who is just supposed to go to work and work until you die. And that's who you are. That is absolute insanity. You are a person. Like, you ever talk to somebody, you meet somebody for the first time, and they're like, oh, what do you do? And you automatically answer with your job. And it feels like we tie identity into profession, right? And you introduce yourself as, oh, I am this. But that's not who you are. You need to find out who you are. What do you like to do? Well, if you're really busy consuming all the time, maybe you don't know. So take a little bit of time to figure out who you are. So something I want to do is I want to go through a little bit of an exercise with you. And I want to really impress that this should help you kind of see things in a little bit of a better way. Okay, so I want you to take a breath first and think about your life right now. Maybe you're happy. I hope so. I hope you're happy. But if you're not, I don't want you to think about the things that you're not happy about. What I want you to think about, just for a second, I want you to think about all the things that are going right in your life. Think about 3 things, okay? First thing, do you have somewhere to live, maybe? Do you have somebody that cares about you? Do you have a job? If you don't, that's okay. Let's think about something that we do have. Just 3 things that you do have. And now I want you to think about the emotions that you feel when you think about those things. Does it make you happy? Do you feel blessed? Do you feel content? What do you feel? And the last thing I want you to do here is think about 3 things that you are grateful for. I know we just thought about the things that we have, but now think about what you're grateful for. Maybe you're grateful for your dog. I think my dog's outside. I haven't seen them in a minute. Maybe you're grateful for being healthy. Maybe you're grateful that you have your hands and feet, because some people don't have their hands and feet. And it's not that I want you to compare, and I don't want you to compare and say, oh, well, at least I have this. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is being grateful for something and comparing, because, maybe somebody who doesn't have their hands and feet, they might have something else that they're grateful for, and they don't even see that as a problem or an obstacle. So I don't want you to compare, because comparison is the thief of joy. If you constantly compare yourself to somebody else, compare your life to somebody else's life, you are not going to be happy and you will be sad. I can promise you that. We just need to start to see the things that we have and feel appreciation for them. Because the more that you see things that you're grateful for, things that you're happy for, the more you're gonna start to notice it. Remember, I was talking a minute ago about constant repetitions of doing something. If we're constantly consuming negative stuff, we're gonna start to train our subconscious to be negative. But that's not what we want. We want to train our subconscious to be positive and to find positivity in every single little thing. And the best way to start doing that is gratitude. And I know it might sound silly gratitude. You do hear this from a bunch of gurus and stuff. But there's a reason that everybody says this. It's because it actually works. So start to pick out some things that you're grateful for, that you're thankful for, that you are so happy that are in your life. If there's somebody that you love that is in your life, be grateful for that you have somebody that you can love like that. Or an animal, our pets. They're somebody that you can love as well, and they love you back. Even cats, I know. Cats can love you back too. Although they do show it in a strange way, don't they? So your first step here is just noticing, okay? That's the main thing I want you to take away from this today, is noticing. Notice. One, I do want you to notice the negative stuff. And what I want you to do with it is to realize that it's negative and then be like, wow, I don't want anything to do with that. If it's a video, maybe it's a person and they're just constantly being negative to you, that's going to wear down you over time. It really is. And if it's somebody that you work with, or it's somebody who's in your life that you can't necessarily get away from, you don't really have that choice. An option is, again, just realize that their negativity is contained to them. Contain it to them. Don't let it affect you. Don't let it affect your happiness, your state. Because when you let somebody else dictate how you feel, you are giving all of your personal power over to this person. Why would you do that? You don't want to do that. You should have all the power to decide how you feel. So they can be negative. That's fine. Let them. You don't have to be. So I do want you to notice that. I want you to notice the negativity so you can stay away from it. So you can keep it from affecting you. But the thing I want you to notice the most is what you're grateful for. Is all the good things that are happening to you. For example, I have coffee. I got to get a coffee this morning. That's amazing. I love coffee. And I'm looking forward to having a coffee tomorrow. And now the next thing I want you to do, and this is what we're doing here by doing these things, is we are training our brain. Because again, repetition, it's going to lead to something that you're constantly going to do without thinking about it. So after a while of noticing and being grateful for all these things, it's going to compound, and your subconscious is going to start to automatically pick up on that. And you're going to start to feel just happier overall because you are grateful for so many things. Looking forward to things, setting goals, setting dreams. This is so important. If you don't have anything that you're looking forward to, you might start to feel a little bit dull, stuck, something like that. So what we should do is, realistic things. And I don't mean goals like they tell you at work, like what's your 5-year goal with this company and what are the steps you're going to take to get there? No. What is your goal with you? What do you want to feel like? What do you want to be like? I'm not talking about physical things. I'm not talking about, oh, I want this house, I want this car. Because by doing that, yes, it's okay to want things. But by setting that as this goal that you have, you're not working on yourself to get that. Okay, if that makes sense. The goals I want you to have are internal. Maybe you want to start to be nicer to people. Maybe you want to be a little bit more generous. Maybe you want to just be a better person. These are the types of goals I want you to set for yourself, because these are attainable. Not that the car and the house are not attainable, because they are. Absolutely. That's a different type of goal. By setting the goal of, I'm going to be a better person, you can get closer to those physical goals of the house, of the car, of the things like that. Because you're working on yourself and you're raising your energy to be brighter, more attractive to the universe, the karmic law, of what you put out, you bring back in. And this is so true, right? If you are constantly spitting out negativity and, maybe somebody like this and this just constant negative, are they getting good things into their life? Are they getting good people coming to them? Are they getting, good this, that, and the other thing? Probably not, because what you put out, you're bringing back. Other people are a mirror. Life is a mirror for what you put out. If you are putting out good stuff and you are constantly just being the best person that you can be, that's going to be reflected back at you. Because people know that you are a good person. You're a genuinely good person. And it's not that you're doing it for other people, you're doing it for yourself. Because you want to be happier. You want to have more positivity in your life, right? Because our life is experienced through meaning, not events. And events don't determine our experience. Meaning assigned to events does. For example, you could go on a trip that maybe you've always wanted to go on, and you can have a bad time. And maybe it's like, this was the perfect trip. But the meaning that you gave to it, you had a bad time. You were in a bad mood or something. Now that's a negative experience, right? But if you went into that being positive, just accepting of whatever's going to happen, maybe some things went wrong on this perfect trip. It doesn't have to be bad. It can be good, because life is not happening to you. Life is happening for you. You get to experience. The fact that you are existing right now is absolutely insane. And not even just the fact of our planet existing millions of years ago, life began, or whatever it is that you want to believe. Not even that. I'm talking about all of the little things that had to go perfectly right when your mother was pregnant for you, even conception, for you to be born, for you to exist. Absolutely insane. So taking that and being like, wow, I am the result of all of these processes lining up perfectly. Wow, this life is a gift, and it is happening for me. It's not happening to me, because you can make your own decisions of whatever you want. This is your life. You can live it however you want to. Do you want to live that as the best person that you can possibly be? If you do, you're going to have a great life. I can say that right now. So, start noticing the good things Do notice the bad, but only notice it to get away from it. And you will start getting really good at noticing and being like, wow, that's extremely negative. I don't want anything to do with that. Great. I hope you get there, and I hope that you have the power. You do have the power, but I hope that you find the power in yourself to say no to negativity and just start saying no to that and saying yes to positivity. Because ultimately, you are creating your own experience. You get to decide. Nobody gets to decide for you at the end of the day. Now, the last thing that I want to leave you with here is that our emotional memory is one of the primary forces that sustains patterns in our lives. And we want to be connected to our emotions. Like we talked about at the beginning, sometimes we can start to disassociate if we're just constantly bombarded by negativity. Okay, we're gonna start to move away from that, and we're going to start to experience our emotions in a positive way. Because turning them off is doing yourself a disservice. Real transformation in your life, in your heart, everything starts when you shift from negativity to positivity. And this isn't anything that anybody else can do for you. I could sit here, I could teach you all day how to do it. I could take you through breath work, I could take you through meditations, but until you decide that you are going to shift into a more positive life, there's nothing that I or anybody else can do for you. You have to actively make this conscious decision. Again, repetitions. At first, maybe it's not going to come easy, especially if you've been in a little bit of a rough spot. Things have been a little bit hard. Maybe it's not coming easy, and that's okay. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start by forcing yourself to notice good stuff. One thing, what I want you to do living here today, because I am going to go ahead and wrap this up because I could talk to you for another hour and a half about this, but I want to be respectful of your time. One thing I want you to do, just leaving today, go throughout your day, whether you're, starting in the morning, like for me, it's the morning, or maybe it's the evening for you. Go through the rest of this day and just pick out the stuff that's going right. Maybe some stuff's going to go wrong. That's okay. I don't want you to notice that. I want you to be like, it went wrong. That's okay. What's gone right? Do you have soap in your soap bottle for your shower? Do you have a nice warm bed? Do you have a nice cold bed, depending on where you are and what you want and what season it is? Just notice the things that are going right. Because I promise you, the more that you notice that is going right, the more stuff will go right. It's insane. But that's how the universe works. I don't want to pretend to know how it works because quantum physics is insane. But that's how it works. Notice good, and you'll have more good. So with that, I'm going to leave you, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your weekend. And you know what? Let's come back and we're going to do this again next week. Something a little different. All right. See you next week then.